All right, guys. Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos, and we are broadcasting to the world live from Phoenix, Arizona. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. I was trying to scarf down my lunch real quick. Today, we will be diving into Abby and Libby's case with the curious case of Darren Shilmiller out of Indiana. I think you guys are going to find this very interesting. Strange connection with Alaska as well, kind of like Anthony Schatz and whatever was going on with TK's voicemail. Remember we called it that one day and it said 10 years in Alaska? Very strange. What's up, this account? There's actually an interview with one of the people who were involved in this case. If you guys, I'm sure I can find it before the end of the live stream. Very interesting. It's an interview with Denali Bremer. She's the girl that Darren Shilmiller was able to catfish and convince her to commit this murder and other crimes as well, including CSAM with their own sister. What's up, Boston? Anna, how you doing? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And it's a network. I'm gonna write to Darren Shilmiller. I'm gonna write him a letter today. See if we can see if he'd be willing to speak to us. What's up, Nixon? Night Shadow? Blind Squirrel, what up? Jill? Rescue? Timmy, how you doing? Brett Decker, always good to see you. And Jerry. So I'm not exactly sure where to start this story. I do have an article pulled. I have his probable cause, his arrest affidavit. I think that'll be enough. There's going to be a lot of shocking information in there. Now, remember, this guy was free during the Delphi murders. To me, it kind of, I think something similar happened in Delphi. So, for all we know, this guy had a hand in it. And I'll show you why I believe that. So, I think we'll start with this quick little article. We'll go into the affidavit, and then we'll kind of talk about all the strange things. We'll start a list. All right, Alaska teen killed best friend after catfish offered her $9 million. During the interview with Bremer, that's on a podcast here, I think you can find it on Court TV, actually. She said that when she was a child, she had two sisters. They were twins, and her stepfather killed one of them, attempted to kill both of them by smashing both of the children together because they wouldn't stop crying. One of them died, the other survived. Denali Bremer also stated that she was a meth head. She was shooting meth into her vein and doing cocaine. Darren Shilmiller went by the name Tyler, a handsome guy, and they communicated through Snapchat. So that's how she sent video and images of her dead friend after she committed the murder. It's through Snapchat. So we're talking somewhat near and around the time of the murders of Abby and Libby. And the strange thing is after Darren convinced these people to kill this young girl, very similar to what happened to Abby and Libby, they started working on the next murder. He started convincing her, like, hey, there's more. We can do this again. And according to Denali Bremer in this interview that I was watching with her, she actually stated that this dude was sending her tons of cash, like thousands of dollars. I don't know how this piece of shit got thousands and thousands of dollars because, I mean, he is like a twin of Keegan Kline. So where's he getting that money from? And why is he trying to trick Denali Bremer into creating this type of a product? And where's he getting all that money from? Doesn't it seem strange? What's up, CJK? Mustang. Yeah, it's a strange piece of information, strange connection. And the way that he met Denali Bremer, so remember, it was Darren Shilmiller. He's catfishing Bremer into creating CSAM. That's how he met her, or that's how they first started engaging. But how he met her was on an online dating app. So Denali Bremer would use these dating apps to sell CSAM. So she used some kind of coded message to let all of these pedophiles know, like, hey, I'm open for business. And she was creating videos through the app with her, with people that she knew and other folks that were reaching out to her. So she was already doing a lot of sick shit before Darren kind of stepped in. What's up, GP? She Warrior. Hopefully you're having a great day today. Piper's good to see you. So I think this article will act as an overview of the case. I think this is a good place to start. All right. An Alaskan teenager allegedly killed her best friend. She's convicted now. She's serving 99 years plus 30 for the CSAM. What's up, Big Fish? Killed her best friend after an online stranger posed as a tycoon, offered her money to carry out the murder. Denali Bremer. Here, let me pull up a photo of this girl. She just looks like a mess. So that's Denali Bremer there. Denali Bremer, 18, of Anchorage, is accused of plotting the murder of Cynthia Hoffman, 19, this month. So her birth name isn't even Denali Bremer. She changed it because she basically had to leave her current home and her family and start a new life because it was basically chaos filled with drugs and murder of her young sister. Miss Bremer allegedly sent Snapchat video of the killing to an Indiana man, Darren Shilmiller, who was 21. So he's like right around the age of Keegan Kline. Actually, they are the same age. Who had offered her $9 million for the killing. Prosecutors said the case should serve as a warning to the parents of teens. Brian Schroeder, the U.S. Attorney of the District of Alaska, told a news conference on Tuesday, for all the good the internet can do, it can be a dark place, and parents would be wise to monitor the activity of their children online. Yeah, you can't say that enough. Absolutely, Big Fish. Absolutely. Welcome in, Deanna. Yeah, I think it's possible, Deanna. I think it's possible that even Richard Allen was catfished. Kind of like Denali Bremer here. According to court document, wait, hold on. Brian Schroeder, the U.S. Attorney for the District of Alaska, told a news conference on Tuesday, for all of the good. Okay, we already read that. According to documents, Miss Bremer confessed to the killing of Miss Hoffman on a hiking trail on June 2nd. So just like the Delphi murders, here they are on a hiking trail right near a creek. Both are described in court documents as best friends. And apparently they had slept with each other's boyfriends. So Denali was kind of feeling vengeful. She said that's what pushed her over, and that's why she agreed to the killings. Ultimately, she let her jealousy win her over. The murder was allegedly carried out at the behest of a man she had met online months earlier. He claimed to be Tyler, a millionaire from Kansas. But Tyler was a bogus online persona concocted by Mr. Shilmiller in a trap known as catfishing. So she thought he was catfishing right from the beginning. He didn't win her over until he started sending large sums of money through PayPal. She said, "Oh shit, maybe he's not lying. He's sending me money like he is a rich man." So when you look at Shilmiller, I mean, you're just like, there's no way. Like, let me show you this guy. He's like loser of the year. I mean, he basically is Kagan Klein. You know, in the real world, he's Darren Shilmiller, the guy with no friends, very awkward. But online, he can be whatever he wants, and he can be very convincing. Just a couple years before the murder. Here's an older one when he was a little bit younger, 2014. Investigators say they uncovered mobile phone evidence of Miss Bremer and Mr. Shilmiller discussing a plan to rape and murder someone in Alaska. Another interesting thing is they burned some of the evidence right there out on the trails. You know, a lot of people said that Abby and Libby were covered with sticks because Richard Allen was planning on lighting them on fire. So I thought it was interesting that those folks were actually lighting the clothing of their victim. They stripped her, no sexual assault, but they did strip her of her clothing and then pushed her into the lake or into the river and burned the clothing and some phones. But Denali refused to give her phone to the other gentleman that she had, I guess, hired to help her. Yes, Big Fish. He sent a shit ton of money. According to the interview that she gave recently, yes, thousands of dollars. And this dude ain't got no money. So where is he getting that money? Probably from somebody else who is the client, maybe. He probably asked for a bunch of money up front. Like, hey, I'm going to create this video for you and I'm going to get you the CSAM, but I'm going to need 30% up front. All right, Jay Ray. Very manipulative. Miss Bremer then allegedly recruited 4 friends to help in the crime, offering to pay large sums of money. Authorities say Miss Hoffman, who was known as Cece, was brought to Thunderbird Falls in Anchorage by the killers on the day of her death. And we'll take a look at this area. And I'm telling you guys, you're going to be shocked. It looks just like the Monon High Bridge Trail. Looks just like the trails. They had taken her in a pickup truck under the guise of going hiking. Miss Hoffman's family said she had learning difficulties. The victim's father, Timothy Hoffman, told the Anchorage Daily News, "My daughter trusted these people. My daughter just wanted friends. Now I have to bury her." The suspects allegedly bound Miss Hoffman's head and hands with duct tape and shot her in the back of the head. This is the man that shot her. His name is Caden McIntosh. Look at him. Just looks like another pathetic piece of shit. The suspects shot her in the back of the head before pushing her body into the Eklutna River nearly 30 miles north of Anchorage. Caden McIntosh, 16, is accused of firing the fatal shot. Now we're talking kids here. Kelsey was 16. Caleb Leyland, 19, a juvenile male and female who have not been named because of their age, have also been criminally charged. Mr. Shilmiller, 4,000 miles away at his home in New Salisbury, Indiana, had also allegedly directed Miss Bremer to rape the victim before killing her. But police say there is no evidence that Miss Hoffman was sexually abused. Prosecutors say Miss Bremer sent video and photos to Mr. Shilmiller in Indiana throughout the attack. So they're basically live streaming this. She's sending her videos and recordings and making phone calls and things like that. And he's giving them instructions like, do this, do that, send me a video. And a lot of it was happening on Snapchat. So, I mean, the correlation is haunting. The victim's clothing and personal items were allegedly destroyed by the attackers. Now, they destroyed a lot of it. They stripped their victim, burned some of the clothing there, and destroyed the cell phones right there on the scene. Jerry says she's from Alaska and her name is Denali. Yep, Denali Bremer. Well, she's a husky dog in my head until further notice. It's a filthy dark side of manipulation, greed, and lack of empathy. I think so, this account. Absolutely. I think he's in his 30s now, but this was a while ago. I think he's like 31 now. This is about 6 years ago. Prosecutors say Miss Bremer sent video and photos to Mr. Shilmiller in Indiana throughout the attack at his directive. The victim's clothing and personal items were allegedly destroyed by the attackers. Miss Bremer is also accused of texting the victim's family after the killing to say she had been dropped off at a different park in Anchorage. Indiana State Police interviewed Mr. Shilmiller on June 9th. They said he admitted to duping Miss Bremer and discussing a second murder plot with her. See, they weren't done. This wasn't like, oh my God, what have we done? This is like, okay, let's do another one. And this took place after the Delphi murders. So who's to say he didn't already do this before? Police say that during their investigation, they found sexually explicit images in the pair's text messages. Miss Bremer has allegedly confessed to filming a video of an 8 or 9-year-old girl being sexually abused, as well as a 15-year-old, and sending them to Mr. Shilmiller. In a criminal complaint, the FBI's Child Exploitation Task Force said text messages show Mr. Shilmiller directing Miss Bremer how she should assault the teenage girl. So these are the vibes that I get from Delphi. Like there's some kind of a mastermind behind all of this. The reason it's such a strange case and the way it happened is because somebody's making these requests. These are somebody's sick fantasies, maybe not the people who are committing the murder, kind of like the Shilmiller case here. He is currently awaiting extradition to Alaska to face the charges. Each of the defendants faces up to 99 years in prison, and they were found guilty. They were found guilty and then charged again for the sexual assault and the CSAM. This account, I remember an article saying they all said they'd receive money, including the girl killed. They went to the woods and took pictures of themselves with duct tape on, so she went willingly. That I don't know. What's up, Mustang? Lynn, welcome in. I think so too, Mustang. The big part of the story is on that phone. I think it has a lot to do why Keegan Klein went to Las Vegas. What if he thought he was meeting somebody like Shilmiller? Shilmiller's just dragging him along, like, yeah, I'll pay you in person. Meet me in Las Vegas and I'll pay you. And then he's never there, right? And then they're like, oh shit, I can't believe we did this for free. And maybe they were sending Keegan Klein money, like here's thousands and thousands of dollars, and he shares that with his cohorts and to make them believe. Yeah, she's worse. He had his phone, but did he have the same phone that he had on him during the murders? I think is the question, Big Fish. We know what phone he had during the interview, but we don't know what phone he had the day of. Yeah, she had a learning disability, but she was in I don't know if she was considered handicapped or not, but she was disabled. Big Fish says, hadn't they said KK sent exactly? How much money did he send? Did he send her money? How did he send it? Yeah, it could be Anna. And now remember, in this case, Denali Bremer didn't trust Shilmiller at first. Like, oh, I don't believe you're a millionaire. I don't believe you're who you say you are. And then the money started coming in. Like not $10, not $20. We're talking like stacks of cash. That's how he was able to convince her. Now, how does somebody that's very similar to a Kagan Klein type get that kind of money? That kind of money where they can just send it. Here you go. Here's $5,000. What's up, Candace? Welcome in. Good to see you. All right, you guys hang tight for just 1 second. I'm gonna go grab me a water. Alrighty. Low key. Hey, nobody's safe from the gaslighting. Oh yeah, she admits to doing a lot of sick shit. She was already doing some sick stuff when she met Shilmiller. That's how he met her. He was already like lurking online. He was already doing his Keegan Klein thing. He was already deep into the catfishing and getting CSAM and exchanging CSAM. He was knowing where to go. Like I said, they were using code and it was on just some random dating app. So they're using a dating app not to try to connect with a life partner or anything. They're using it for CSAM to exploit people. So that's how he originally found her. So after they were sentenced to 90 years, then the charges for the CSAM came. Presence upon me. Isn't he so dreamy? He's a catch. He might appear to be one online till you really find out who they are. I don't know. I mean, what kind of job do you have where you're just sending like thousands and thousands of dollars to somebody you don't know in Alaska? We've never heard that Libby's attitude may have been toward money. Pretty much everyone is interested in money, but I don't see Libby being greedy or desperate for money. What do you mean? I don't think that she was motivated by money. I think that money just helped convince her. You know, she's thinking, hey, this guy's a catfish and he just wants to take, take, take. Well, here he is sending me money. So obviously I'm wrong. So maybe he is who he says he is. A catfish isn't going to send me a bunch of money. You know, that doesn't make sense. So I don't think Libby was chasing money, Anna. I'd say he's getting rich sitting in his mama's basement doing the dirty work for some rich ass SOB. That's where my mind's at, Piper. You know, him and Keegan Klein, these types of people, they get good at what they do. And there's very powerful people that are into this sick shit. They don't want to go to jail. You know, they're working at your church, they're your bosses, they're local police chiefs. You know, they're scumbags and they don't want to get caught. So they're going to use somebody like Keegan Klein or Darren Shilmiller to do their bidding. And just think about it this way: if somebody like Darren Shilmiller, a low life, a loser, can accomplish what he did with no money, with, well, I guess you can say without any money. Question is, where do you get the money? But with no real resources or power, imagine somebody with resources and power, what they could accomplish. Hey, what's up, Julia? I meant he probably did dark stuff for his money to send. Yep, I agree with that. I agree. Maybe this is how he makes his money. Maybe that's how he does it. He creates these products, you know? He knows there's a market for it. And maybe the market that he tapped in is the same market that was tapped in over there with Abby and Libby's case. I mean, we still don't have a motive, you guys. We still don't have a full story of what happened. And they're basically telling us what happened in Bremer's case here. All the way down to the CSAM and all of that, the sextortion, like that's how it began in Abby and Libby's case, right? Send me photos, send me photos. And that was Keegan Klein's specialty. Big Fish says the FBI recently put out a warning to parents about a group, I believe, called Spider, that target kids 8 to 17 or something. They target minorities, LGBTQ. They get them to harm animals and themselves. Yeah, crushing. That's what they call that. And I don't know how you get into crushing, but I think it probably starts out with CSAM. Like you start out catfishing and then sextorting, and then now you're on the dark web trying to sell your product and all, people are telling you how much it's worth, right? Pedophile, like, oh man, that's $1 million worth of CSAM you got there. Oh, really? Well, how would I sell it? How would I go about that? Well, you got to go on the dark web, or you got to go here, or you got to go there. So over time, they learn how to wiggle into these markets once they become trusted. I believe so. This happened in June of 2019. I think he was finally arrested in 2021 and sentenced in 2023. So he's spending 130 years in prison. IC3.gov. Yep, that's true, Anna. You're right about that. J. Ray, the Frank's motion. Do you know that we've debunked anything that we were able to get our hands on? We've debunked. The Frank's motion is just all fabricated lies. So don't believe everything that you read on the internet. I don't think there was one truth told in the Frank's memo. And I'm not just saying that. That's why we interviewed Patrick Westfall, is because of that Frank's memo. We investigated it pretty good, and we got pretty far on it. Yeah, it's hard to wrap your mind around. I just want to ask Darren Shilmiller, like, how did this happen? Like, how do you get to this point? Talk to me about the evolution. At one point you turn on your computer and you make a decision. But you don't just go right into it like, hey, I'm going to be Tyler. I'm going to be a millionaire from Kansas. And I'm going to convince this girl to commit a murder. No, you slowly evolve into something like that. It just doesn't happen overnight. It's all cause and effect. And the reason, why did he do it? And why did he want to go do another murder? Was this not his first? Yeah, be careful. Julie says, reminds me of the Mark Twitchell case. Hired an actor for a horror film, but ended up killing the guy, convincing him it was all for a movie. Yeah, technically it was, right? Like we're making a snuff film and you're starring in it. But you just don't, you have no clue. I'll pay you after we film. But in this case, Darren Shilmiller was paying them up front. Where did he get the money is a better question. What I mean about Libby's attitude toward money is, what could she be induced to do for money, or would she not be lured by money? Would be cautious. I have no idea. Yeah, I don't think she was lured by money. I think she was convinced with the help of money and just simply lured by the boy. You know, these people in Shilmiller's case are a little bit older, 18, 19, 20, and one of them was 16. So they're a little bit more street smart, but I think a couple $100 would convince Libby. Like, Catfish isn't going to send me a couple $100 like this, you know. Look, you told me he was fake. If he's fake, why is he sending me a bunch of money? And then she would have, maybe Abby was like, oh shit, maybe you're right. I guess he is real. All right, let's go meet him. You know, he's not going to send you a bunch of money like that if he didn't just have it laying around, you know, acting like it's throwaway money. So even though she didn't go to the bridge chasing money, the money was there to convince her. It was a prop, all part of the ruse. Yeah, like Darren Shilmiller and Keegan Kline. Absolutely. Oh my God, it has a name. Oh my God, people have really shown the dark colors of humanity via technology. Yep. I don't think that the world is getting any darker because of technology. I think that it's just becoming more televised. We're becoming more educated about it. Well, people aren't born evil, Miss Doglover. Not in my opinion. I don't think people are inherently evil. I think they're born good, ultimately. And like Bremer's case, I mean, look what happened to her when she was a young girl. She watched her stepfather take both of her twin sisters and bash their heads together because they were making too much noise. So some monsters do exist without outside influence. Maybe things that they've chosen to do or things that they've been exposed to growing up. But others are created, you know. Like, imagine some of the stories Keegan Kline hasn't told us. And one thing that nobody really talks about when it comes to Keegan Kline and Richard Allen is Keegan Kline's mother grew up in Mexico, Indiana. Mexico, Indiana. That's where she grew up. Same age as Kathy. And she also lived in 2nd Street when she was a kid, which is very interesting. And also, I don't know if you guys know, but Keegan Kline has a cousin who's a couple years older than him. And at the time of the Delphi murders, he had a daughter, a 3-year-old daughter by the name of Emily Ann, spelled the same way and everything. Guess where he lived? He lived in Mexico, right around the corner at the same time as Richard Allen, right around the corner from him. So how about that? Not at the time of the murders. I think 2005. I think they lived right around the corner from each other. So they most likely knew each other. Julia, oh my God, the crushing thing makes me nauseous in a whole new way. I'm a huge animal lover, 2 cats, 1 dog. Cannot fathom how anyone could do that. People are sick. Well, it starts with it's all about supply and demand. Big shout out to Alex. Thank you, Alex, for the super sticker. So you have supply and demand, right? First, you have the sicko with the sick fantasies and the sadism and needing the cruelty and the suffering just to get sexually aroused. You know, that's the beginning part of a killer is this illness, these disorders. So you have the demand, now you have a sick piece of shit who wants to go ahead and provide the supply. Right? These guys are demanding it. I'm going to create the product for you. That's how you get crushing videos. That's how you get snuff videos. That's how you get potentially things like what happened in Delphi in the middle of the day with no reasonable explanation, because there's a lot of moving parts potentially. Yeah, I'll write you a check. As soon as you get it in the mail, go ahead and complete the task. Yeah, exactly, Anna. It's an evolution, it's not from day one. So you don't just become Darren Shilmiller overnight. It takes a long time, a lot of hours in that basement, a lot of catfishing, a lot of trial and error. And then they find what works, and then they stick to it, and then they get better at that. Then they get deeper and deeper into the dark web shit, and then it's all downhill from there. Presence upon me says some sick sons of bitches out there, straight up frightening. Yes, that's what this channel is all about. First and foremost, educating myself because I'm terrified of death, terrified of tragedy. And then secondarily, just educating everybody else, keeping everybody on their toes. Frogging is actually my worst nightmare, but that other thing is a close second. Yes, Alex, thank you again for your generosity. Thank you for supporting my channel. That was extremely generous of you. Yes, they were infants, J. Ray. So imagine a maniac taking two beautiful babies, twins. I mean, we're already talking about something that's crazy, that's extra special. We have twins, and some piece of shit smashing them together like that. One of them died. The other one almost died and survived. And still, Bremer went on later on in life to sexually assault some of her other siblings and put it on film and disseminate it over the internet through Darren. And if you believe he wasn't on the dark web, I got some oceanfront property in Arizona I'd like to sell you. "100 years ago, they had to hide, have solitary likely fear, hellfire after death. Now they have online networks." Yeah, and everybody's involved in them. You have somebody that's in the police force. You have somebody that's in the FBI, somebody that's a local politician, maybe your local school principal, teacher, maybe one of your uncles on your father's side. You just never know. You absolutely never know. Me too. We stick to ourselves, Anna. What is that? Frogging. I don't think I know what that is. Hey, Miranda, drive safe. Safe driving, please. Eyes on the road. Christine, I imagine KK is from a cop in Alaska, and I really do believe there is so much to the story we will never know. Yeah, it drives me crazy, the amount that we don't know. And I think we know less than we think we do. I think a lot of the narrative that's out there now, or what we've accepted as the narrative, is way off. Richard Allen hasn't said one word about what happened that day. So I don't think we'll really know what happened until he talks. We've heard what Kagan Klein had to say about, that, but we don't know if we can trust what he says because he's a piece of shit liar. But I tend to believe him. I tend to believe him when it comes to this. I don't see any reason for a convicted predator like Keegan Kline to just come out and start working with law enforcement. They can't give him a deal. You can't give somebody a deal. You can't bargain with other people's justice, right? Oh, well, I'm going to bargain with these people's justice to give it to these groups of victims over here. It doesn't work that way. Now, could he get a deal as far as being convicted for Abby and Libby? Yeah, he could get immunity for that if they offer it to him. But the only problem, he's going to have to prove it. They spent over $1 million on a Wabash River search, not to mention whatever they spent working the angle, Anthony Shots angle, taking Keegan Kline to the crime scene and talking with him and hearing his explanation and, you know, his recollection. Yeah, what a nightmare. I think that's important, Anna. I think that's where we come in. So hopefully they'll do that one day. Or we just keep digging. Just keep looking for these angles because they don't have them. They asked Holman recently after Richard Allen's conviction, what about Anthony Shots? Well, you know, we haven't really closed the books on that. Those are the vibes I was getting from him, Doug Carter, everybody involved, especially Vito. It's like, man, we tried to connect Richard Allen. You know, we went and interviewed all their family members from around the area, and we couldn't find nothing. That does not mean it doesn't exist. Do you think my family and friends know about every school friend that I had? I get Facebook messages from friends I haven't talked to in 30 years. And let's just say one day they're like, hey, my brother-in-law passed away. I'm coming back into town to take care of my mother-in-law. Maybe we can get together one night now that I'm back in town. Okay, yeah, let me know. Give me a call. Well, one day I believe that that's exactly what happened. Is everybody going to know about it? Is Richard Allen's mom and sister and wife going to know about it? No. Why would they? You're not going to get a call from Richard Allen and be like, oh, now I got to go call all my friends and my family and post about it on Facebook. Richard Allen called me today and we're going to go shoot some pool at a local pub. No, you're just going to meet the guy. You're going to get all fucked up, go back to the house, maybe do some drugs, right? At least that's what Keegan Kline talks about, doing PCP and all this hardcore, you know, acid and shit. And then you struck out. Richard Allen said something about, I'm not going to cheat on my wife anymore. So maybe that's what he meant. Maybe that's how this all started. You know, he was out trying to cheat on his wife. Keegan Kline's like, well, I got this. I mean, if you want to jump into my sick world, here, talk to these little girls. They're from Delphi. But instead of him just being a sick pervert who is satisfied with CSAM, he starts actually connecting and enjoying the attention he's getting as Anthony Shots. Like him, he really likes it. He's falling into the incel role. You know, like these weirdos that catfish girls on dating sites and then actually show up and kind of torment them. So he could have been really angry about that. He could have really been enjoying the attention, you know, talking to Libby on a personal level and enjoying the fact that she thought he was a good-looking, successful man. And in reality, he was a mess. And he has a personality disorder where he's attached to his wife and she's not being very nice to him right now. Hence the fact that he's out with the Klines. You know, if things weren't such a mess in his life, he would have never been in Peru, and he probably would have never hypothetically reconnected with old friends. Yeah, Julia. How many scary movies? Julia says, growing up in my bedroom, I had an access to the attic, the stairs pulled down. I was always nervous when I got home. There was somebody up there just waiting till I fell asleep to come down and harm. Yeah, hell yeah. I used to sleep with like a knife. when I was a little kid. I was so terrified of intruders. But yeah, I would go up there and check every night. Exactly, Miranda. Absolutely. Hey, Julia, thank you for the super chat. Deposit for oceanfront property. AZ surfs up. Hey, it's all yours. Let me know when you want to come sign the deed. You know, that's the going rate right there. $199. Sold. Law enforcement has not found one shred of evidence to arrest Tony Klein, which I find interesting. I feel like he might be involved somehow. Yeah, absolutely. At least Keegan Klein, right? It could be Keegan Klein and Richard Allen and Keegan Klein trying to put it on his dad. It could be all three of them. It could be them and a fourth. Remember, there was somebody walking around the private drive at 9 o'clock in the morning. If they're all connected with this whole Anthony Schatz and Keegan Klein, Richard Allen, all of that, remember at 8 a.m. the morning of the murders, somebody's logging into two burner phones, logging in, logging out, two separate devices at 8 a.m. So if they're logging in 8 a.m. to the Anthony Schatz account and they're already planning to murder Abby and Libby, or at least Libby, remember Richard Allen said he was sorry about Abby, but not Libby. So maybe Libby was just a target. It takes about an hour. It would take you an hour to drive from Peru, park your vehicle, and walk over to the private drive. Honestly, maybe the killer crossed the bridge in the morning, walked onto the private drive, went up to the home, knocked on the door. Okay, nobody's here. Everything looks good around here. Let me walk the entirety of the private drive. And then right at 9 a.m., one of the neighbors sees this creepy guy out there, somebody that she's never seen before, unidentified male. And when he noticed that she saw him, he got out of there. Who's to say this isn't somebody that's part of this crime? Scoping it out. Like, hey, you can't come into the private drive. They have a lock on the gate. Okay, now we know that. What's our plan? Well, if you park here or park here, it looks like you can still get back here, or you can go down off of the bridge and down by the creek. Okay, that's what we'll do then. So you might even have a gentleman out there doing recon. Scoping it out beforehand. So I wonder if that same person that scoped it out isn't the same person that came back to Peru, got on Keegan Klein's phone, or whoever else's phone is needed, and just jumped on it from time to time. You know, I'm going to search this, I'm going to search that, I'll move the phones around, and that'll be your alibi. And that's what it was. So I think there's a good chance that whoever was witnessed down by the private drive could have been scoping the place out. And then once he returned back to Peru, he's now the one that's going to be providing the alibi. And the guys go ahead and move out and complete the killing of two innocent kids. Yep, absolutely, Anna. Absolutely. Was hacked by a monster of a man. Frogging is when someone secretly lives in another. Holy shit. Without their knowledge, the name comes from the idea of leapfrog, when the intruder hopping from place to place like a frog. Yeah, that does happen. There was a Kevin, or what the hell's his name? Busey? What's his first name? Is it Kevin Busey? Anyway, it's an old Busey movie. He kind of squats in an empty house and realizes they're getting ready to sell it. So while they're trying to sell it, he builds a false wall up in the attic, and he lives on the other side. So when you walk up in the attic, you think, this is the entirety of the space here. But really, he has his own way to get in and out, and it's a single woman, and he just watches her at night, like creeps around the house at night and stuff. Yeah, that's terrifying. Go check your attic, guys. I think that's a reasonable fear. There's a YouTube video of exactly that. Some guy's living in this guy's attic, and he gets caught. And the guy goes up there with his phone and his gun, and he's like pointing his laser at him, like, dude, you better come down here. I'm going to put a hot one in you. What's up, Misty? Hi, Watt. This is, I'm pretty sure ISP thought KK was Brian Kill. They find each other online. They find each other probably trying to catfish each other. Like Kagan probably literally is talking to somebody and he's catfishing this person and realizes, wait, this person's catfishing me. And then they start saying, hey, wait a minute. Are you doing this? Yes, I am doing that. Okay. Well, why don't you show me what you have and I'll show you what I have? And now they became best friends, you know? They're going to go do karate in the basement. What are you up to, Misty? Yep. And Vito is really the only one that even talked about it, but they're not going to tell us anything. They're not going to tell us what is really going on because they can't. You know, their job depends on it. There's too much bureaucratic red tape. They got to do things a certain way. They can't just speculate because then later on that'll be used against them in a court of law. If they're wrong for whatever reason, they have to pick their words very carefully. You've seen how strategic and tactful defense attorneys can be. It's literally what you're hiring them for. You're hiring the defense team to exploit the investigation for any weaknesses and technicalities. Okay, so it says here, according to court documents, Denali Bremer, 22, and her co-conspirator, Darren Shilmiller, 25, conspired to murder Cynthia Hoffman. This is Cynthia here. Beautiful young lady, murdered for no reason. Absolutely no reason whatsoever. Bremer and Shilmiller pleaded guilty to production of child pornography in front of the U.S. District Court in July of 2023. Shilmiller is awaiting sentencing. Both defendants were sentenced by the state of Alaska to 99 years in prison for their roles in Hoffman's murder. So that's how these guys met. Here, we'll kind of shuffle through the probable cause affidavit and then we got to go. And this will kind of tie into our live stream later on tonight about the dark web red rooms. Sorry, I have a speech impediment. Sounds like a good plan. Presence upon me says, never heard of frogging. Squatters is what we call them. Well, I think frogging is basically a squatter who's squatting while you're living in the home. So I think there's a difference, right? I could be wrong. I feel like frogging is like, hey, this is my home. I've been living here. And somebody's living in my attic or underneath my home or something weird. Miss Dog Lover, I slept with a knife until recently. Yeah, I'm talking as a little kid. Now, now it wouldn't be very wise to come even knock on my door if you're an enemy of mine. Because at the very least, you're going to get maced and have your teeth knocked out. And you'll be lucky leaving with that. Not that I'm tempting anybody, but just know that you've been warned. Carter always said, "It's not what we know; it's what we can prove." And they have to do everything under that filter, within that filter. Is this going to be? Can we present this in court? We believe 99.9% yes, this is a fact. But if I can't prove it in court, is it really a fact? No. Even if you saw it with your own eyes, my word against yours, right? Absolutely, Miss Dog Lover. And that's what I was referring to. Right around 9 a.m., you know that video that came out that Osbrook recently put out of the van being caught on the security footage entering into the private drive? Right in that same area. So they should be able to use this video right in that same area. And a person might be too small, but you might be able to use that same video to see who that was walking around. And I don't know why they didn't bring that up, but there was a suspicious person seen at 9 a.m. looking around the entrance of the private drive. I find it very suspicious that they saw this man there, and then later on in the day, 2 girls are kidnapped on the private drive. Yeah. Score. I'll send you my credit card info and my social security ASAP. Ocean Shores of Havasu. Here I go. We'll have a dock installed too. How about that? You have your own marina. For an extra $5, we'll even give you a yacht. Since when is violent porn legal? What the hell? Or is it? That really makes me angry. Yeah, we're living in strange times. I really don't know what's legal and not legal anymore. I want to go check with your attorney. Well, Anna, you remember early on, who was it? Mr. Voorhees, remember? And we were discussing the Stevenson case. And he said that he had turned over some information to Kentucky law enforcement and they were interested in it. And also there was a few items that were leaked out, crime scene photos that were not the official photographs taken by the investigative team or the CSI team. These were different. So I have a feeling that this was something on the dark web, whether it's just the crime scene photos or something in the crime scene photos. There was something that only Alex had seen. And I think maybe he may have found it on the dark web, whatever it is that he doesn't want to tell the public, what he shared with law enforcement. It may have been something that was discovered on the dark web. Yuck. Yacht City, bitch. Yeah, it's not official until we get until you pay full price. We'll hold it for you though. We'll hold your bid. Okay, here's the arresting affidavit. Some of the names are withheld. So you have Darren Mitchell Shilmiller. He's the piece of shit Kagan Klein twin. Denali Dakota Sky Bremer. Caden Brian McIntosh. Caleb Allen Russell Leland. I think I have all their photos here. At least the 3 that are named there. So from left, Caden McIntosh, Denali Bremer, and then Caleb Leland over here to the right. All like a bunch of emo long bang having idiots. I'm so emo. Fucking creeps. This matter involves the planning and premeditated murder of 19-year-old Cynthia Hoffman by a group of 5 young individuals after being catfished and solicited by 21-year-old Darren Shilmiller. And this is dated assuming 2019. Sure, it'll tell us right here. Based on interviews and a review of internet communications, investigators determined defendant Denali Bremer, aka Angel, so that must have been her online persona, met and began an online relationship with a man going by the name of Tyler from Kansas within the past several months. Tyler sent Bremer a photograph of another young male, purporting the photograph to be himself. So originally the story was that he portrayed himself as a young man, but here in the probable cause affidavit, they say another young male. So that's a lot like Anthony Schatz, right? They used a young, good-looking, successful profile, just like this here. Extremely similar. Tyler sent Bremer a photograph of another young male, purporting the photograph to be of himself. Tyler also convinced Bremer that he was a millionaire. This practice of assuming a fake identity to engage in online relationships is a practice commonly referred to as catfishing. The investigation further established that unbeknownst to Bremer at the time, Tyler is actually 21-year-old Darren Shilmiller of New Salisbury, Indiana. He does not look like the young man he portrayed himself to look like. He is not a millionaire, and he lives in Indiana. Interviews and recovered cell phone evidence reveals that during the course of Shilmiller and Bremer's relationship, and several weeks before Hoffman's murder, the two began discussing a plan to rape and murder someone in Alaska. Shilmiller offered Bremer $9 or more million to carry out the murder and to have photographs and or videos of the murder sent to him. It's not that far-fetched, guys. This theory that I'm chasing down is not that far-fetched. And it happened in Indiana, and it happened around the time the girls were killed. Bremer agreed to commit a murder for him. Statements from all 6 defendants indicate that Bremer then solicited 4 friends, including 19-year-old Caleb Leland, 16-year-old Caden McIntosh, and 2 other juveniles to assist her in planning and carrying out the murder of Shilmiller's direction. And I do have a feeling that some of these unnamed minors might be one of the 15-year-olds that was involved in some of the CSAM. So Bremer used a 15-year-old and then her 9-year-old sister. Who may or may not be one of the surviving twins, right? Which would be even that much more messed up. Christine says, I always remember one eyewitness. Well, it wasn't an eyewitness. It was a story that Julie Melvin told. And I don't believe a damn word she says. One of the neighbors said that she went out there to walk her dogs and there was some creepy guy standing around there. But really what it was a play on what actually happened was a separate neighbor. This is all like word of mouth, right? Just saw a creepy guy standing around, an unknown person around 9 a.m. So when Julie Melvin gets this information, now it's this person and it's verified and they called their husband out and he barked at them. So that's what happens to information when it goes through certain sources, right? People that you cannot trust. They like to put emphasis on certain things. They like to spin it to fit their narrative or where they're at that specific time. And then the information is tainted from there on out until it can be verified, through trial and proven to be a bunch of nonsense. Hey, there's plenty to go around, J Ray. Prices are going up though. The market's hot. So it went from 199 to 299. And if you want property that has a yacht and a dock and a marina, a private marina, you better act fast. Yep. It's not fair. It's just not fair. There you go, J Ray. Work in the system. That's true, Anna. Well, these guys are pathetic, is what it is. Housebound 2014 is a really good film about a guy living in a family's home in the walls. Yikes. Yeah, that's fucking creepy. Every once in a while you hear like some cracking noises up in the attic or downstairs or something, and you just wonder, like, what was that? This fucking guy walking around in your walls. Nope, Julia, no captains. You got to find your own captain. Yeah, Miss Dogler, I've got millions. Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm just here in my mansion. I'm in the bathroom of my mansion right now. This is I'm in the walk-in closet. Don't go trying too hard. It's when you're not looking. Dude, it's the worst. Being paranoid about people living in the walls and not trusting that you're home alone. Yeah, I think that's a natural feeling. You might be haunted. See, the thing is, if I had squatters, I'm not calling the police. You better believe I'm going to take care of that. I'm going to take care of that. I don't need help from anybody. Think you're going to squat here. You're going to have a rough day and a rough couple weeks after. I don't think a man hiding in a crawl space or attic to come out at night and scare you, then later to assault and torture is referred to as frogging, is it? Maybe. Thank you, Julia. Great addition. I'm not done decorating yet. We're just getting started. Thinking maybe a bookcase somewhere. I don't know yet. All right, we'll give you a deal, J Ray. We'll mark it back down to regular prices, $199, and we'll throw in a dock. How about that? And a captain. I found one in the back. Just go ahead and wire that money right on over. That's how it is, Julia. Be your own captain until somebody worth it comes along. Because then they're going to try to steer the ship in a direction you don't want to go. Then they're going to hit an iceberg. And look at you now. Well, you might end up on a door, hogging the door while your captain's like holding it on the side, and you could have just made room for him. But instead, you hog the door to yourself and let the captain freeze. Typical. Julia says maybe a mini bar with some fine whiskey. Ooh, that reminds me of Coeur d'Alene. They have, I think it's every Sunday night. They got the whiskey tasting, and they bring out all that gourmet food from the chef. That's fun. If you haven't done that, go do that. That was probably the funnest night I had there. I was fucked up though. I was fucked up. Yep, Whispers. Do you like the food? I didn't like the food. It was too fancy for me. What the fuck are you supposed to do with tartar? Would you like some tartar? No, I don't like tartar. No, it's not tartar. It's tartar. No, thanks. Oh, the dockside one. Yeah, we went to the evening one, and it was like a whole banquet. Some of the best whiskey I've ever had. Instead of a dock and captain, if you can say you're throwing in a dog named Captain, you might have a deal. Sure, whatever you want. Sure, buddy. Everything that you need is available here. But after you pay, if we don't answer the phone, it's not because we disconnected and we're running a scheme. It's just because we're having some phone problems. What's the name of that little Italian restaurant right on the corner? Right there, right before you turn into the resort. That place is fucking good. All right, let's continue on a little bit more here. Statements and cell phone evidence further indicates that at some point during May 2019 or early June 2019, the group assembled and discussed a plan to carry out the murder. So why couldn't this happen to Abby and Libby, just a few years later? Why couldn't something like that happen? The defendant stated that they agreed that each member of the group would receive substantial shares of money for their part of the planning. Now, how do you convince a group of people that they're going to receive a whole lot of cash, for putting the rest of their life at risk? You have to have some kind of money in your hand. And where the hell was Shilmiller getting this cash from? Cynthia Hoffman was allegedly best friends with Bremer, was selected by the group as the murder victim. Caleb Leland provided Bremer and McIntosh his vehicle to pick up Hoffman on June 2nd, 2009, and carry out the murder. According to multiple statements and other corroborating physical evidence, Bremer drove McIntosh and Hoffman out to Thunderbird Falls under the guise of going on a hike. So let's take a look at Thunderbird Falls. And when you see it, you're going to be shocked. All that it's missing is a Monon High Bridge. And I mean, it's identical. Identical. Name that movie. Okay. So it's right off the highway, right outside of town. Look, just a short distance off the highway, just like the Monon High Bridge. Parking lot's right here. And they went hiking down this way. Thunderbird Falls Trail. And after they committed the murder, they pushed her into the Eklutna River. Beautiful. Leave it up to a bunch of scumbags to ruin a place like that. Look at that trail. What does that remind you of? Crazy. Thunderbird Falls Trailhead. Looks like the Monon High Bridge Trail to me. It's a lot longer, but eerily similar. That even looks like the crime scene right there. Eklatna. I don't know. That's probably where it happened right here, guys, honestly. This is like really the only part where the trail meets the river like that. Or one of them. Damn, there's even a guy in like a blue coat. Dun dun dun. The three of them went off trail and followed a path along the bank to Eklukna River. So they followed some path to the river. Kind of looks like that one where it was kind of off of the beaten path. The group stopped at a clearing and Hoffman's hands and feet were bound. So it does look like that area. It kind of appears like it's a little bit off of the beaten path. Little camping area, maybe. The group stopped at a clearing and Hoffman's hands and feet were bound with duct tape. Duct tape was also wrapped around her head, covering her mouth. Hoffman was shot one time in the back of the head by McIntosh with Bremer's gun. Her body was then put into the Lukna River. So it was right around this time, according to Bremer, that Hoffman began complaining, saying that I know you guys came out here to abuse me and you need to untie me. I know what you guys are up to. I'm going to call the police on you for what you've done to me out here. And that's when they duct taped her mouth and shot her in the head. Digital evidence and statements show Bremer was communicating with and sending videos and or photographs of the events surrounding the incident to Shilmiller. So what was Shilmiller doing with that video? To me, this is some kind of a product he's creating. It's a product, and there's a checklist. We need this in the video. We need that in the video. Make sure you include this, and we're going to need you to do that. Once they do all of those and complete the checking of all of the boxes, they filled an order for some sick individual. After the murder, some of Hoffman's clothing, her cell phone, and her bag purse were destroyed by McIntosh and Bremer. Digital evidence shows Bremer texted Hoffman's family indicating Hoffman had been dropped off at Polar Bear Park in Anchorage. Bremer also deleted her conversations with Shilmiller from her cell phone. On June 4th, 2019, Bremer and McIntosh were interviewed at the Anchorage Police Department. McIntosh was arrested for murder in the first degree after confessing to shooting Hoffman in the head. Bremer admitted McIntosh shot Hoffman in the head and initially denied having any prior knowledge that the homicide was going to occur, stating McIntosh took the gun from her hand. After further investigation, including a Snapchat video in which Bremer appears to confess, Bremer was re-interviewed by detectives at the Anchorage Police Department on June 7, 2019. Bremer ultimately admitted to being solicited by Shilmiller to commit the murder, and that the murder was planned once she realized she had been catfished by Shilmiller. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it for today's live stream. We will be live a little bit later on tonight. I think I might even be scheduling it a little bit further out. But thank you guys for tuning in, catching the live stream. If you're part of the replay crew, you know what to do. Leave a comment and I'll get back to you. Big shout out to my members, my moderators, and all of you who continue to donate. Send super chats, super stickers, send cash to the Cash App, the Zelle, the Venmo. Every little bit helps, and you guys are the reason that I'm here. You make it possible. So special thanks to all of you. And I'll see you again a little bit later. Take care.